Welcome back. It's time to open up the mystery box. Now, I did notice the Speedmaster part number is on the box, but as you can see, it is handwritten. So that doesn't really mean there's Speedmaster heads in this box. I mean, for all I know, the ad pictures were wrong, and what we saw was not what we got. There could be assembled Speedmaster heads in this box. So, without further delay, because, I dragged this out enough, it's time to see what's in the box and open her up. Oh, come on. Well, there it is, unassembled, same as the pictures. Looks like I have some, rip-off Vortec Iron Killer 200s, possibly. Now, I did get an interesting comment that gave me a clue to what these heads are, and there is the fact that I bought them off a warehouse parts place that used to have several lines of their own head. So, I'm going to make a clip here and show you what I found to further explain what these heads possibly could be. If you didn't see my last video, I found these heads on eBay and the pictures don't match the part number. Anyways, now we can be positive these are not Speedmaster heads. So what are they then? Well, shortly after posting my video, a subscriber left me a comment with a possible lead. No, not that comment. Okay, jokes aside, a comment suggested the eBay mystery heads may be Promax 200s. And I agree, they look very much like Promax. They even have that same flat spot above the middle exhaust ports, unlike the Vortec Iron Killers. But there are some differences also mentioned in another comment. Promax drills and taps the common small block Chevy coolant sensor location on the side of the head. Plus, they laser etch their name on the ends. Well, it used to be engraved, but now they're laser etched. Anyways, the Promax heads look the same as the eBay mystery set. And if we look at the Promax's description, you can see why. Machined and assembled in the US. So that means these castings are overseas. And I'm pretty sure they are the same castings as the eBay mystery set. And just like other overseas cast heads, multiple places buy them and put their name on them. So, there it is. The mystery eBay heads are just another generic overseas casting. I mean, I know what brand they were probably called since I bought them from a parts warehouse. But it doesn't really matter since these were the last set. Even if they are generic copies, at least they're a good design and a great deal. Oh, and I did come across another set of heads on eBay. These PSM racing heads. At first, I thought they were the same overseas castings, but then I noticed that dip like on Vortec heads, and if you zoom in, you can see what appears to be Vortec casting numbers IK 200. Still, they don't have a machined edge on the bottom like Vortec. Now, I don't know if they really are Vortec or they just stole the picture. And for an assembled set of heads, that's a decent price. But I'm done playing detective for now. Someone else can figure these out. Alright, I got both heads out of the box. And by the way, I'm not really a fan of the, two heads in one box deal. I mean, I prefer individual boxes, but whatever. Anyways, I just got done looking over, both heads, a quick visual inspection, and they pretty much pass. I mean, no major defects. They look, good to me so far. I mean, I still have to do the actual checks, but so far so good. I mean, there's a few small things, we'll get to that in a second. First, I want to point out, on either end of the heads, there is no logo or name. You know, both heads are just, you know, plain. Although I did find some, you know, some stamp numbers. They're not cast, but they're stamped. Right here, there's a 1358 on one end of both heads, and then there's some larger numbers right here that are stamped on one end of both heads. They're different though. This one, I think the other one's like a 15 or something weird. I don't know. Doesn't matter, but they're not. There's nothing, no casting marks. There's nothing, you know, indicating the exact brand or anything. Just some, I guess, probably date codes or something weird from wherever they are, you know, manufactured or whatever. Anyways, like I said, so far so good. A few small defects. See right here, this one, there's like a spot where you can see with the casting, like, you know, I don't know, peeled off or chipped or whatever. You know, it's not a big deal because this is just a bolt hole, and that's coolant right there. So it's there's enough sealing that's it's gonna be fine. I'm not worried about that. I mean, you could, it's not deep either, so you can clean that up with a, you know, a light surface probably, no big deal. Another small spot over here, it's like a dented that you just, you know, hit the file real quick. Nothing big. You know, the decks look, you know, pretty good. I haven't checked the flatness yet, but they look, you know, there's no major marks. This one's got a few more we'll get to in a second. You can see this hole right here. It kind of got a little oblong, and there's like a chip on the other side. So, I mean, that was just like a machining defect or, you know, whatever. But otherwise, this head is good to go. I mean, it's nothing major wrong with it. This one, get it here on my stand. Oh, this spot right here, there's just a deburr spot. It's a little sharp corner. No big deal. Something I noted to fix later real quick. But on this head, you can see a few spots here on the deck. Here's a nice scratch, and here's another one right here. But once you put the gasket on, they're both inside the fire ring, so those are a non-issue. You know, a little mark over here, no big deal. It's way out on the edge. This corner smashed in, which, you know, I've seen that before. It's not a big deal. Just run a file on it. You have to clean it up on the, you know, the deck side and the intake side. Otherwise, you might have a bit of an issue. Oh, from the pictures in the eBay ad, it looked to me like the bowls were blended, but they're just machine deep. And, you know, they're, you know, pretty good except for the two exhaust ports right here. You can see there's a bit of a lip, so those will take a little bit to blend. The outer ones are fine. It's just the inner two on both heads. Otherwise, they look pretty good. I mean, I like them. I mean, I do have to order some D-port exhaust gaskets, and they do look a little higher when I, you know, compare them with, you know, the regular Felpro. I think this is a 1404. I just threw that on there, and you can see it's, you know, they're right there. But they're not, you know, they're not huge like some heads. So I like that. The intake gaskets look like they're going to be a 1206. The 1205 I have out here is too small. So far so good, I guess, you know. Now we're on to the actual checks, you know, flatness, seats, threads, so on. The flatness check is all good. Both heads check out nice and flat. I didn't find any little low spots like I often do here or there. Just that one blem I pointed out earlier right here, it's, you know, chipped or flaked off or whatever. But again, I'm not worried about it. It's not close enough to that coolant hole. So, I mean, we're good there. Heads are flat, and I mean, there is, like, you know, some cosmetic, you know, stuff that looks funny, but you can't feel that. It's just, you know, a kind of weird looking blemish. a lot of the times his heads have that kind of stuff, it seems. Anyways, time to move on to the seats. Here's an interesting example. I started off on the first cylinder and doing my standard where I Sharpie the valve, you know, put it in there, rub it off, check the seat. And I wasn't getting a good pattern on the intake or the exhaust. I mean, I was just trying it, so I cleaned the valve off a few times and retried again, but I still was just not getting the contact I liked. I even cleaned the seat. And I decided, you know, just go to another cylinder and try again. right away, same thing on the intake here, not getting a good pattern. And then I finally decide, you know what? Let's try a different marker. So I got another marker, and boom, right away, I get a good mark. I mean, it's actually pretty wide for an intake seat, but you can see there's barely any marker on there because it rubbed off right away. So that marker right there, whatever's on it, will not allow me to check the seat. So there's, just because the seat you think it checks bad, you always got to recheck and try, looking into the variables. Because the first thing I did was, I took some brake clean and I cleaned off the seat, and that didn't fix the problem. And then I realized it had to be the marker. So it's just interesting, figured I'd share. Also, I sometimes get comments, well, how do you know if the contact patch is good on the seat? Well, when you're checking, if you stop halfway and look at the seat, you can see marker on it. So here's some other seats, no marker. Well, we'll try this one over here, this cylinder. No marker on these seats because I haven't even tested them yet, or even cleaned them. Over here, both these seats, you can see Sharpie all around the valve job. All the way around, and there's Sharpie. It's a bit patchy on this one because it was almost done, but so initially I was getting some weird patterns in the valve, like it was only like top and bottom, not really the middle, and then I tried to check it again and it was just kind of faint on the whole thing, and it's that dang marker right there. Still works, but just not good enough for checking, I guess, seats. Oh well, let me get back to checking these, and I'm not super stoked about the intake being that wide, but I guess it's better than having nothing at all. Okay, first head checks out. All the seats check out good. But man, those seats are wide AF. I mean, you can barely tell I Sharpied up these valves. Just a thin line at the top and some at the bottom. I mean, dang. They got all the seal. Second head, more of the same. All the seats check out good. Although those seats are still wide on every one. Anyways, I'm glad I figured out that marker thing, because that's what's annoying. But now we got one more check to do. Threads. Fun stuff. Well, all the threads check out on both heads. You can see right here the plug fitment is good enough. A little bit of edge on the one side, but nothing major. And I'm sure they'll clean it fine when if you clean up the chambers. So I'm just gonna check my notes and maybe we'll go over a few more things and wrap this video up. Alright, I got a few things I want to go over before we end this video. First, I want to say I did contact the merchant about the ad saying that the heads were assembled, and of course they are bare. The merchant offered to give me a full refund and send me shipping labels to take the heads back, return them. But of course I'm not, because they were a really good deal. I just wanted to see what they'd say, and it's nice to know that they would do that. Anyways, I keep forgetting to mention how smooth the ports look. The casting. I mean, there's not going to be much other than blending the machining for the bowls, and as I mentioned, those two center ones, and they either had the exhaust ones. Intakes aren't bad. A little bit of lift on the short side as usual. Nothing terrible. But the overall quality casting is nice and smooth. It's a better shot at the exhaust. A little, few spots to clean up, but nothing terrible. I'm not really a fan of the guides sticking out like that. I mean, I know profiler heads also have the guides sticking out. I prefer a little meat behind the intake guide, at least, but it is what it is. These heads are, pretty decent in my opinion, especially, for what I pay for them. There's the intakes. Nice and smooth. There's a little bit of spot on the roof there, but you know, knock that off, no problem. When a cart roll over them, they'll clean up nice. Chambers are pretty good too. No, you know, there's no huge lip, and the valves don't look like they're sunk. Although I should still CC these heads to see what size I'm starting with before I modify them. Otherwise, I think I got a great deal. I'm gonna keep them. We'll see what I do with them here in the future. But for now, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Keep it real.